So the first thing that Tony and I are going to do in the connection side is we're going to demonstrate just the basic closed position hold and how we get into it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to raise my left hand out to the side. Tony's going to place her right hand into it. Then I've placed my right hand out to the side. As she comes towards me, she's going to stay offset on my right hand side. So my right foot, if I swung my right foot forwards, it would swing between her feet. She's not going to trap it. And I would swing my left foot on the outside, so she's on my right hand side, and I'll place my right hand just on the lower part of her shoulder blade here. So that would be our basic closed position. We're actually touching just on the right hand side of my ribs and the right hand side of Tony's ribs.
So remember when we talked about posture, how we said center of levitation was a lifted connection, or a lifted action. So from here to lift the arms into frame, once they get there, they shouldn't droop down again. So once they're in this lifted connection, you should have a sense of lifting all the time, gentlemen. And then the lady connects, and that doesn't mean she drops her weight down on the man either. So when I come into hold, Michael's like ever so slightly lifting my hand, but I'm not hanging down on him. So I have a lifted sensation too. He lifts his right hand underneath my left arm, so you can see already that he's connected with me here, and that connection is a lifted connection, not a pulling in connection with his hand on my back, so he wouldn't pull me into him. So it should be lifted out. Then without drooping my arm down on him, I have my arm connected to him with the sense of lifting as well, so that I'm connected but light. The weight connection will come from when I lower into the legs. That's when he'll feel my weight into the floor, but not from pulling down with the frame. Last little thing is just the lady's hand on the man's arm, so I'll just do that from the back here. As I come in, he's connected with me. I take my left hand and I make an L with it. I then put the third finger on the bicep, so if I slide my hand up, you hit this great big huge bulging muscle right
That's
here.
That's my shoulder.
Okay. And then from here, so the bicep is right here. I'm going to connect my thumb on one side, my third finger on the other, and then I keep the sensation that I have that L here rather than the whole hand clamped down like a claw. You'll see the little finger and the third and fourth and index finger kind of following the line of my elbow. Okay, and that kind of locks me in right here on this side.
So actually your thumb connects on the joint between the bicep and the shoulder.
Yeah.
There's a little groove in there, so it's not actually on the bicep itself.
Right. There's a little groove before, so that groove, hopefully that's there.
Right, it's not terribly big at the moment. Okay, for the gentleman, a little hint, something that's going to help you, is when you actually raise your arms up to bring the lady in, make sure you think of just bringing your hand up. So don't think of bringing your whole arm up, because that will tend to sometimes you use these muscles up here, and that'll give you a hunched appearance. So we don't want that. So just thinking of bringing your hands up and letting your arms hang underneath your hands. The second thing you should do is you should think about trying to extend your elbows out to the side. So think about them pointing out to the sides, and that's going to create some tone in this direction here, and that'll give the lady that feeling of support. So you're not actually going to push up with your arms at all. You're going to think of pushing out and slightly in front of your body. So you've got a little bit of a U shape, you've got a little bit of a curve coming in towards the lady because she's standing in front of you. So I lift my hand up, I push my elbows out to the side and forwards, and that creates a nice frame for the lady. It's very supportive, and at the same time it's strong.
Okay, so now just final little thing for the ladies. So you can see both of us standing offset. I have a small extension of my head that the man doesn't have. So how I had this little styling here. Now the head, we extend from the center of levitation up and out. So make sure when you're putting your head out into its final position, so from here you can see that I'm standing straight up right now, the man stays there, and then the lady has an extension out to the left. Now you can see, if we can just stay here actually without the arms, you can see I do that extension from the center of levitation only. I do not lean back from my center of gravity, because that's dropping my center of levitation down. So my levitation lifts and my head extends up and out.
So that way your back actually stays long, but if you bend from the waist, you actually get shorter when you do that.
And that means levitation isn't lifting.
Right, so we talked about that sternum coming forwards towards your partner. So if that's coming forwards and up, then your back stays straight. So you're just actually stretching through the front part of your body, and you're not contracting through the back part of your body.
Now from there you can just work on your flexibility, ladies, on however far you can go out to the left. I just say though, like if you feel like you do a little bit to the left and a little bit back, it should just be fairly comfortable. And then from there, when you see greater shapes than that, it's normally because of the sway and the shape that the man is creating. So you don't actually have to lean further back.
And the guy actually, the man is also he's going to counterbalance the lady's head. He's going to do the same kind of stretching from his right rib through the back of the left-hand side of his neck. So he's going to stretch out there as well. That helps him project his body weight towards the lady. So I'm projecting up towards you here. That's it. So I don't actually go away from you. I'm creating that shape by actually projecting towards you, and that just changes the angle of my head to my chest.
So now this gives us our second connection. So we were talking about the frame connection, so these are all our frame connections. So now we've been talking a little bit as well about body connection. So normally what people do when they connect with their bodies is they push their tummies forward to touch each other, thinking that this is giving them a big frame. In fact, this is not correct. If we stand up nice and straight, if you can see actually, I could fit, if we were standing up with our legs not bent right now, I could fit my hand in between our bodies, because our center of levitation is connected, because that's the part that's most projected to the front of the foot. Now what happens is when we lower, so if we're there again, actually I'll keep this hand down, is when we lower through the knees, is then everything underneath connects as well, but not because we're pushing it forward, but just because as we lower, our knees come towards each other, and then then the pressure comes towards each other. But that's the only, we don't want to feel like we're pushing on each other. We just want to stand up straight correctly. We happen to touch through the center of levitation as we come towards each other. And then when we lower, we get a longer body connection.
So I think what you said just then, Tanya, is really important. You said that we don't actually push towards each other. The connection happens because of the posture that we put ourselves into as individuals. So when we come close to each other, when we both extend and stretch into our positions, the connection happens automatically.
Right.
We're not trying to force any part of our body onto our partner.
Right. So I would never feel like, if I was coming to connect with the man, I wouldn't feel like I push onto him. I just feel like I stand in my own space. From here, if his arm is close enough, I could actually touch. So if he had his arm way extended out, I wouldn't be able to touch him. If he has his frame close enough, and if I was in good posture, I would feel him. And then as we lower, I get a longer connection. But it's just through good posture that we get our connection.
So that basically covers the frame and how you get into closed position connection. And what we're going to do next is we're going to see how we can take that closed position connection, that posture, and put it into moving steps.